Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Welcome to Game Plan for Retirement with Chris McIntire. McIntire Retirement Services, Northwest Ohio's retirement planning resource.
And welcome into the program. This is your Game Plan for Retirement with Chris McIntire, Northwestern Ohio's resource for a common sense approach to planning, uncomplicating the financial world, helping us with our investments and our retirement, making sure that we get there and that we have a confident quality of life. That's done through planning, ladies and gentlemen. And here to help with the experience and perspective is Chris McIntire of McIntire Retirement Services. Chris, always a pleasure.
Hey, my pleasure, Peter. Yeah, year-end planning right now. Very busy here at the office, taking care of all the tricks and treats out there, if you will.
Yeah. Special Halloween edition of the program, so to speak here. And, we've been doing this show for a number of years, Chris. There are several holidays that I think are good analogies or reminders about financial and retirement planning. Like Thanksgiving is one that comes to mind. We should all be a little more thankful for what we have. St. Patrick's Day is another one that we've talked about. Too many people are sort of waiting for that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but Halloween is perhaps the best analogy, not for all of the scary things out there. And there are plenty of those. We'll talk about them, but the bowl of candy is actually a fantastic analogy for our retirement savings. We've got a finite amount of candy, an unknown amount of trick-or-treaters that we've got to spread that out over, just like we've got a finite amount of dollars in our retirement accounts, our life savings, and we've got an unknown amount of years we've got to make it last for.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of ghosts and goblins out there that can scare, put the fear into you there and make
Indeed.
make you make decisions that might not be in your best interest. To be fair, that happens to all of us in some regard. At some point in our investing career, we get crazy nervous. The politics of the United States going right now between, Democrats, Republicans, we've got vaxxers, non-vaxxers, we've got, all kinds of issues out there. And, Peter and I, we were just talking, it's like, we try to watch less news now than ever before because, if it bleeds, it leads. And I think, hopefully we go through kind of a metamorphosis here with our news cycle where we actually hear some good things that happen. I'm ready for that.
That would be refreshing.
Yeah, a little refreshing. But anyway, back onto our topic here for the day is, on the investment front here, as we go through the year end, there are certainly a number of issues we help people with and, to keep them from getting fearful, if you will. And I got an email from a client. She sent it to Heidi at the office and said, every time we meet with Chris, he does help to reassure us that we're not going to be living off of dog food, kind of like, it's a joking email there. And so, some people just don't deal with numbers very well. So I think that's where we help, give them confidence or tell them what they need to fix.
Absolutely. Well, Chris, you mentioned year-end plan. It's hard to believe that we're to the point in the year where we've got to do year-end planning already. But what are some of the things that you are talking to clients about needing to do before the end of the year?
Yeah, the biggest one, Peter, would be Roth IRA conversions. We want to make sure that we're helping people efficiently transfer money from an IRA account into a Roth IRA. And we're going to call that a conversion because we have many people listening to the show today that are already retired. So they cannot contribute out of their wages because they don't have wages, but they can convert from a traditional IRA into a Roth IRA. And why would they want to do that? Well, you would want to do that because when you're 72, the IRS says you have to take money from your retirement account, whether you want it or not, and pay the tax on it at whatever tax rate you're going to be in at age 72. And you cannot convert that money into a Roth IRA. So for a lot of you, we're trying to get you to do this before you hit the age of 72. And this is probably the year where we'll do more Roth IRA conversions for our clients than ever before, because, you're talk about spending trillions and gazillions and whatever's above that, and driving the country's debt up deeper. Well, the U.S. government only gets money from one place, and that's from taxing.
Well, we know that there has been a discussion about taxes potentially going up into the future. And that's why tax planning, proactive tax planning, ladies and gentlemen, can be a significant benefit and improvement in your financial future. You can save 1, 2, 10, 15% of the money that you have and the future growth on that. It's well worth the time to look at and discuss. This can be significant dollars for many, many people, especially those that have done a good job in saving and accumulating, investing, and growing those retirement accounts. So if that's you, and for most of our listeners, I would say this applies to you, pick up the phone, give Chris McIntire a call to discuss how you can potentially strategize to be more efficient with your money, keep more of it, and keep it growing in your favor, not sharing that with the IRS. That is done through those proactive tax strategies. Chris can be reached by calling 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. And there's never any charge for that initial consultation and strategy session. Chris can help you identify and outline the strategies that you need to be considering, strongly considering, in order to be more efficient with your money and keep more of it. And Chris, as I understand it, the proposed tax law changes, and these are not law yet. This is just a bill. If we remember that Schoolhouse Rock, how a bill becomes a law, we're still in the bill phase here, but the proposals are talking about an end to the ability to do those Roth conversions at some point down the road. So it's making that consideration now more important than ever. And we already know that in law, and this is already on the books, tax rates will be going up in the year 2026. So again, another factor that makes those Roth conversion discussions more important today, and taking advantage of the opportunity that we have in 2021 in order to be able to pay the least amount in taxes possible over our lifetime.
Yeah, and Peter, and all the talk that we're hearing about taxes, and like you just said, the Trump tax cuts expire 10 years from when they went into force. So the $3.5 trillion spending package they were talking about, human infrastructure, whatever that is, was only for 10 years. How much does it cost after those 10 years? And that's what people have to realize, that, yeah, but they're only going to tax the rich. Folks, they have to get this legislation passed. Then they'll come after you. That's what people don't realize. These guys are just salesmen and women in Washington trying to sell you on the fact that they're going to make the top 1% pay for $3.5 trillion. Are you crazy? No, there's going to be a trickle down effect from all of that. And I use that word intentionally.
Yeah, well, if you raise corporate tax rates, they raise the prices on the goods that they sell to you to make up the difference. That's just the way that it works. And they talk about the 1% or those earning over $400,000 or more, Chris, but in 2026, the 12% bracket becomes the 15% bracket. The 22 and the 24 become 25 and 28. So taxes go up across the board. It's not just on those earning more than $400,000. Some of the laws have that language in their requirements. However, for everyone across the board, again, taxes will be going up in 2026, unless they say magically somehow, no, the guys before us were right and we should continue their beliefs and their laws that they put in place. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, this is why 2021, this year, before the year-end deadline, it makes sense for you to take advantage of these opportunities that we have now. They could be use it or lose it, and certainly could save you significant money. Pick up the phone, give Chris McIntire a call. He can work through these opportunities and identify strategies with you. 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. 800-868-1194, or you can visit online, McIntyreRetirementServices.com, McIntyreRetirementServices.com. Chris, the Halloween holiday, that's not the only scary factor that we are dealing with. The market's been a little bit more turbulent here over the last couple months as well.
Yeah, it sure has. September lived up to its reputation for sure. And, October certainly has shaken the tree a little bit as well, which is very typical, or I shouldn't say typical, but historically, this is when those times, the volatility happens. We went on one heck of a run there before September without having a negative month in the market. So a 5 to a 7% pullback there was certainly no shock. People were doing some harvesting and whatnot. We've done some harvesting of losses and gains for investment clients as well. And I think the market itself is kind of reshaping itself into, transitioning into what looks good going into next year versus what was working good for 2021. You might see, other things work into, the energy markets. If inflation is going to continue to increase and oil prices are going to go up, we've got a lot of supply chain issues right now, Peter. And, those things probably aren't going to shake themselves out into 2022 from everything that you and I have been reading and hearing in our professional alliances. And, so that's you're going to see some momentum plays, what's going to be the hot plays, and dollars chasing dollars. So some of that is just naturally occurring.
Chris, initially they were saying, oh, these supply chain issues, they'll work themselves out. And so the higher inflation we had been seeing, they were expecting a bit of a correction on that. However, the supply chain issues have not worked themselves out. If anything, they've compounded on each other and backed up even further, and we're not seeing relief from the rise in prices. Inflation, another one of those scary issues that, especially in retirement, when our paycheck is not going to continue to rise to keep up with cost of living, we've got a finite amount of money, we've got to make it last. Inflation has to be an issue that is incorporated and included in that retirement income plan.
Certainly the buzzword for 2021 and is going to continue into 2022, Peter. And you're exactly right. This has been the first year in quite some time where it seems like no matter what you are looking for, it costs more. Again, a lot of this COVID driven. We'll steer clear of politics on some of these topics here because it's too easy to finger point that, well, it started under one administration or it's the current administration. Some of this was just, part of, the world's largest economy shut down and had to restart. That's got a lot of cogs in the wheel, easy to get choked up there. And, as we look into 2022, let's all hope that, some of that ebbs, because we don't want inflation to get ahead of anything by any stretch of the imagination. Politics aside, too many Americans of the lower income levels suffer the most when gas prices are up, when food prices are up. I mean, we're talking about some survival things that really happen here, and that's not what real Americans want to see.
Well, I remember, Chris, looking back to the Great Recession, that directly followed Hurricane Katrina and all of the gas line problems that caused. Yes, there was a housing market bubble, which is really on the financing side of the housing market that sort of imploded. But I think that the real thing that hurt Main Street Americans was the fact that the average gas price across the country rose to almost $5 in many places. So those are the type of factors we've got to pay attention to. And again, inflation in our everyday cost of living, the items that we use and buy and depend on each and every day, including fuel costs, including grocery store costs, including healthcare. Those are the things that we need to include into our forecasts for retirement income and our plan for how to deal with retirement expenses.
Yeah. And if you think about it, what is the first things that are going to get cut when people want to pull back some of their funds? It's going to be the travel industry, which has suffered, terribly under COVID. It's going to be, people going out and, spending dollars at restaurants, again, another COVID thing. So that travel and leisure sector could certainly be what struggles. And if you looked at airline stocks there as the price of oil has gone up, that's a wonderful example as well. So that discretionary sector of the economy, if you would. And then consumer staples will typically hold up okay in that. That'd be the Walmarts of the world, right? No matter what's going on, I still have to walk into Walmart, but I don't need to go to Neiman Marcus, if you will.
Well, again, we are talking with Chris McIntire, president and founder of McIntire Retirement Services, here as your resource in and across Northwestern Ohio, an experienced, qualified professional that will help you address those scary issues, or back up from the Halloween analogies and language here, issues of financial concern into your future that you would like to address, and in some cases, ones that you don't know to address, Chris can bring to light. He can spot and identify those things like hidden fees, things like higher risk than you may be aware of, how to maximize or optimize Social Security claiming, timing, and strategies. These are things that can make a difference into your financial future, help you to be more confident or lead to unconfidence and instability. You got to address them proactively, ladies and gentlemen, and the trained eye of an experienced, qualified professional can certainly have benefits there. That's why Chris McIntire talks about these issues each and every week on the program, but why he gives you the additional opportunity to come in and address them personally and individually in your planning. If you'd like to take advantage of that time for the independent review, the second opinion, the strategy session, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. And Chris, I love telling these stories. We've told them before, but the Halloween candy, I really do feel is a fantastic analogy, because I have experienced different sides of this myself. One time I had the king size candy bars and I was telling everybody to just take one because I wanted them to last throughout the night. However, the trick-or-treaters stopped and I still had this pile of candy. My waistline didn't appreciate it. My son ended up eating all of them in a matter of a couple weeks. And that's the way a lot of times we are with our retirement savings. If we don't have a plan, we might be scared and live a just-in-case retirement, be a little nervous to spend freely and do the things that we envisioned retirement to be about. And then, unfortunately, we've got an unfulfilled retirement and a pile of money left over at the end of it that somebody else sometimes blows through too quickly.
Yeah, Peter, we can run into that with, certain investors that are overly cautious that, kind of do that just in case. And then you can always do that or, do the same thing there with those that are way too aggressive. And our job is to, try to talk sense into everybody and say, look, there's no need to be this incredibly conservative right now. You're going to miss so many opportunities at your age. And then also talk someone off the cliffs that wants to be overly aggressive, and finding that, that right balance for individual clients. Not that there's anything wrong with them investing in stocks, but, when you have somebody that can come in, as a fiduciary with an objective view and say, yep, that makes a lot of good sense, but I think you're a little bit overweight in that sector of the economy, for example. And okay, if you want to be more aggressive, what do we have on the safe side to counter that? So that if you're pulling some money off of this and this doesn't work out and it could take a substantial amount of time to recover, we need to have another alternative and incorporate kind of a safe money strategy, if you will. And, that's where we come into play there and add some of those benefits that, people don't always know, that there are so many other investments in stock, bonds, and mutual funds, if you will.
But that's where the written retirement income plan really comes into play. That helps us not to be too conservative and allows us the confidence to spend on the things that we envisioned retirement to be about. And then on the other side of that balance, Chris, not overspend and risk running out too soon. The written retirement income plan it's what keeps us between the guardrails, so to speak. It's like I used to go bowling with my son on his birthday, and we had the gutter guards. They would pop up and keep you from having a gutter ball. That's what the written retirement income plan can help us achieve. Maybe not a strike every time, but certainly not a gutter ball either.
Absolutely. And again, and offer some alternatives to just doing it one particular way, having a plan A and also a plan B in place there. There's a lot of things can happen in life. Let's be honest. people pass away early, people live too long. You have to be able to hedge those bets and understand that, look, if this happens, I need to be nimble enough to make some adjustments here. And, probably one of the biggest threats out here is, if you wound up in a nursing home or your spouse did for, more than a couple of years, man, that is substantial. That's not free. Medicare does not pay for you to be in a nursing home for 24 to 36 months.
Maybe the scariest issue of them all, Chris, really, and one that, yes, it concerns all of us, and yet so many of us choose to just ignore it. It's the 800-pound gorilla in the elephant in the room. It's both of them. But there are alternatives. There are ways that we can reasonably address this concern. Maybe it's not 100% protection that we'll never experience it, but it can certainly make us more financially prepared if we do. And in many cases, Chris, not really have any kind of drawbacks if we are lucky enough not to.
Yeah, you're right, Peter. And having that written plan in place is certainly going to improve your peace of mind, going to let you sleep at night. I'm trying to think of a Halloween reference here. But absolutely keep those ghouls and goblins in the closet, if you will. And, a couple of those other references.
Well,
there.
It's like it's one of the plagues of retirement is that eventually it comes to an end. But before it does, oftentimes, and the Department of Health and Human Services statistics, Chris, is really scary on the number of people, the percentage of people who do require some level of care before we go. It's close to 70%. I mean, 69.8%, as close to 7 out of 10 of us as you can really get. We all want to be the lucky 3, but the 7, we can't determine who they are. And almost no one actually prepares for the potential for that care and the costs that are associated with it.
Yeah. And, and I know it firsthand off of caring for a father-in-law and also another good friend of ours, and just the thousands and thousands of dollars that private pay type of instances, the dramatic effect that can have on folks. I'll leave it at that, Peter.
Now, Chris, the folks that you have assisted through that, they do have a plan in place, and it has been really a godsend that they have had that plan, because it has helped them significantly with the standard of living and with the finances to support that standard of living. So again, the benefit of proactive planning, ladies and gentlemen. Pick up the phone, give Chris McIntire a call, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194, 800-868-1194. You can talk about specifically that, but really the majority of times, Chris, I think you are talking to people about more everyday concerns. How much do I need to retire? When can I retire? How much income can I generate from my life savings and my retirement accounts when I do retire? And how can I be confident to make it last and avoid some of the top concerns and risks that we face throughout retirement?
Yes, Peter. And, we're objective. We have a fiduciary responsibility. So we truly act in our client's best interest. That's our business model.
Well, we talked a little earlier about taxes, Chris, and there's a lot of proposals on the books. The infrastructure bill has a number of different clauses and factors. What's 50-some thousand pages? It's an enormous bill with a whole lot of different issues that it addresses. But one of the things that it has addressed, I want to get your perspective on this and your pulse, is targeting those with either $400,000 worth of income, or B, with $10 million or $20 million in retirement accounts or more. My question is this, Chris: if those kind of individuals are targeted, they end up showing up with a team of lawyers and accountants to battle the IRS agent. Are they going to end up being affected by this anyway, or is this really going to trickle down on the backs of the average worker saver trying to scrape their way to a reasonable retirement?
Well, Peter, it's been my experience, my professional opinion, that Yep, they're going to start at the top and it's going to work its way down. That's what always happens. There is a cause and effect. There is the law of unintended consequences. And once these things are in force, the next thing they're going to say is, well, it's not generating the revenue we needed to. We're going to lower the thresholds. And then the next time, hey, it's not generating the revenue we needed. We're going to lower the thresholds even farther. That's what's going to happen, because that's what politicians do.
Well, if you would like help and assistance in your planning efforts, pick up the phone, give a call. Chris McIntire, a standby resource for you, ladies and gentlemen, there to help and assist with a trained eye to spot and identify opportunities to either leverage your money, be more efficient with it, or avoid or address risks that could impact your lifestyle and standard of living moving into and throughout retirement. 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. 800-868-1194. As we wrap up the program, Chris, got just a couple minutes left. I want to flash back to the list of the 10 steps to prepare for retirement, a resource that you make available. If somebody moves through those 10 steps, they're probably pretty prepared to handle some of these risks. In particular, number 9 on that list was consolidate like qualified accounts. And you talked about the opportunities to maybe reposition dollars from tax deferred to tax free, make those Roth conversions. Is that part of that process and really going to help us identify what buckets we should be accessing or moving from one tax status to the next? Consolidating the accounts sounds like maybe working against diversification, but in essence, is this going to help our overall financial situation, or am I off in saying that it would have any effect on the diversification?
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example here. We had a new client with 8 different retirement accounts. Some she started on her own, some from previous employers, moved around to a couple different jobs, and just had no idea how these things were working, and what can I change in them and whatnot. So just this past few weeks here, we made some phone calls to all those different institutions to get the paperwork so that we could bring them under one roof, for example, and create a true IRA that has some real diversification and, one place to look at it. And she said, well, just what a relief. She says, I had no idea I needed to call all of these places to get all of these forms, and, just, helping her with getting all of that. You could just hear the relief in her voice, and we haven't even moved it yet, but knowing that process that she had wanted to get started from having different types of retirement accounts in different places, IRAs, 403Bs, 401Ks, all of that, Peter.
Well, on this program, we've shared a few stories, covered a few issues to help you think about and address the spookiness of the financial world and some of the scary issues that we are currently facing in the economy and what's going on with our money. It shouldn't be scary. Let's let Halloween be scary. Let's be confident in our retirement. And that's through the planning process. Chris McIntire offers you that opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. No cost, no obligation to get that plan put together for the initial review, consultation, strategy session. Just give a call to McIntire Retirement Services, 800-868-1194, 800-868-1194. For radio program listeners, Chris waives all fees and costs. These are typically $1,000 value or more for the type of work and review and evaluation that Chris McIntire will put into helping you create and craft and double check your plan. And then on an ongoing basis, you can work with Chris to make sure that you stay on track with that plan. 800-868-1194, the number to call. That's 800-868-1194. 800-868-1194. Chris, don't let the ghost or goblins get you this evening. We appreciate you being here on another edition of the program. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, my pleasure, Peter. And anybody gets the extra Reese's cups tonight out trick-or-treating or this weekend, I'll be happy to take some off your plate.
Always a favorite in my household as well. So you won't be getting from me, Chris. Those are the ones that I confiscate from my son's bag as the dad tax.
Yep, there you go. I like that one. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Stay safe out there.
Take care, Chris.
Visit McIntyreRetirementServices.com for many additional valuable resources, including other great episodes of Game Plan for Retirement with Chris McIntire. Be sure to subscribe.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor. Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.
Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Indexed or fixed annuities are not designed for short-term investments and may be subject to caps, restrictions, fees, and surrender charges as described in the annuity contract.